I always say being a West Virginia Mountaineer fan is not for the faint of heart, and today is definitely one of those days that prove that statement correct. I'm Carson Fox for Fox on West Virginia Mountaineer Sports, and bringing you, unfortunately, maybe the most heated, disappointing episode that I've had in the last 6 months. I'd have to say going back to the Backyard Brawl football game this past September, which we all know how that went down. Equally, I feel like is devastating and hard to compare apples to oranges in this situation. But West Virginia not making the NCAA tournament, despite by many in the college basketball world being said to have been snubbed, screwed, any which kind of argument or analogy that you want to use to compare, that West Virginia just was a sham and a travesty that they were not included in this year's 2024 tournament. Now, let me pause and say I'm not going to say anything different than what I've been saying for probably the last couple of months. It seems like going back to that Iowa State victory at home when West Virginia beat the number 2 team in the country, everybody in Morgantown was on cloud 9. Yet, unfortunately, West Virginia fell back to average. Finishing the season 10-10 in conference play, and still you can't take away from, again, what was the journey and not necessarily the destination that fell completely flat here over the last few days. But West Virginia achieving a goal, I felt like, in getting to 19 wins, over 40% in wins in conference play. But when you get to the Big 12 tournament and you lose to the 16th seeded Colorado Buffaloes, and give it, they gave Houston all they wanted, only lost by 9 in their next matchup the very next day. But, beating TCU, beating West Virginia, and then going toe-to-toe with them. So, a team that really underperformed in the regular season, but then got really, really hot at the absolutely necessary time. And West Virginia was the complete opposite. Holding on with those, take a deep breath victories over Utah and then UCF, you just did not expect whatsoever that West Virginia was going to lose that game against Colorado. You thought, okay, great, TCU gets knocked off in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. Perfect, we got the 16th seed. Nope, no, just shots didn't fall. And ultimately, it seems like that was the rationale used. In addition to the way that West Virginia finished those last 2 months of the regular season. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it was West Virginia's fault. Truly, it wasn't the major problem with this team. It was the fact that the NCAA wanted to metaphorically give West Virginia a middle finger for the way that it handled the Raekwon Battle situation and going legally against the NCAA last year and, litigating for his eligibility to play last season, in addition to I feel like conflict of interest in athletic director Bubba Cunningham from North Carolina being the chairman of the NCAA tournament committee. And it comes down to really, at the end of the day, after all was said and done with the seeding for this year's tournament, that it's North Carolina getting the benefit of the doubt and getting into the tournament with a weaker resume than when West Virginia had, and West Virginia is the first team out of the tournament. And just, it felt really odd. It felt really ominous. I feel like since that loss to Colorado, West Virginia was kind of comfortably sitting in around anywhere from an 8 to 10 seed, but as the weekend progressed, you started to see some of these projections that West Virginia was getting bumped down into the last 4 byes, then seeing West Virginia projected as an 11 seed by some outlets, then being considered in the first 4 of the tournament to all the way out. All of these projections, I think there are like 111 of them. If you just scroll through Twitter, everybody is saying all of the same things that I'm about to say in this video, so you're not learning anything necessarily new. But in all of these different projections, 111 of them, they had West Virginia in the tournament. So to not be included in the The only one that really matters is just a travesty. So I'm very thankful that athletic director Ren Baker has come out and made a statement already. Head coach Darren DeVries has made a statement. But statements at the end of the day don't mean anything. They don't. That's unfortunate. As West Virginia fans, we can be very mad. But at the end of the day, and this is what I've come back to, especially since West Virginia has joined this Big 12 conference, which has, other than the money, other than the stability, really given nothing for West Virginia in terms of the benefit of the doubt, brand recognition, anything in today's world of college sports. Is just, you cannot leave fate in the hands of the Big 12 conference and the NCAA especially to do West Virginia any sort of favors. Has to be a disruptor, has to cut against the grain. Again, even from the TV partners and ESPN and Fox and all those out there, that it will always be counted out. This is a perfect example. Put this, in the, annals of history about West Virginia sports. It's just that West Virginia has to carve its own path. Always will and forever. They will not get the benefit of the doubt that other programs and other sports do across the country, and it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. It's that one of the challenging things. Whenever you're picking your favorite teams when you're growing up and like, all right, who I'm going to be a fan of, and if you bleed old gold and blue like myself and you love West Virginia, it's just always that West Virginia has to be the underdog, always has to be the overachiever who doesn't get any sort of the same kind of recognition that the others out in the field, out in the country get, and this is egregious. But what are you going to do? You don't get... When you're a team, you have to take care of your own business. So, going back to that home loss against Arizona State, on the road against TCU, shouldn't have lost, obviously, to Colorado. And I know I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking against a team that, by all accounts and measures, by so many folks across the college basketball landscape, overachieved. It's just unfortunate that it was just by a hair. You didn't get the benefit of the doubt, and just a few things didn't break West Virginia's way, namely in the respect of injuries, with Jaden Stone being out for the whole season, with Tucker DeVries being out for 75% of the season. And I thought that was absolute BS by Bubba Cunningham, using that on the TV, the selection show, of using that as an excuse as to why West Virginia was left out of this tournament. It's not like we're talking about Florida State here with Jordan Travis at quarterback. Like, Tucker, yes, wasn't a part of this team for 75% of the season, but West Virginia was still able to pull off that win at Kansas, against Iowa State at home without him. And, same with Jaden Stone. Who was going to probably be the third leading scorer on this team. So I'm very mad. I'm sure many of the people in powerful positions, who donate a lot of money at West Virginia are very mad. And we can direct our anger at the NCAA all we want. And other naysayers like Jay Billis, who are saying like, oh, in comparison to other years that I'm not so worried about the 30th team out there, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever. Those people aren't ever, fans or going to err on the side of reality and and like deservedness. So it's just really unfortunate. I would say yes, if West Virginia gets an opportunity to continue on with this season, to end it the way that it did in that Colorado game. I don't want that to be the end of this season. I don't want that to be the final chapter for this season. I know there's a lot of seniors on this team. This is really the biggest travesty I feel like about West Virginia not getting in is because one of the best players in this NCAA tournament, Javon Small, is not going to have the opportunity to take the court. Got snubbed, passed over for JT Toppin on Big 12 Player of the Year, third team All-American, and you're not going to give him an opportunity to go and show what he can do on the floor for 40 minutes. I know that the supporting cast around him was just about average at the end of the day in comparison to so many other teams across the country, ones who are going to contend for a national championship in the next month. I get that. I'm not saying that West Virginia was going to go on some magical Cinderella run, but if you gave Javon Small an opportunity to show what he can do over a course of 40 minutes scoring the basketball, I'm telling you, we could have, an Adam Morrison like game or two, I feel like, out of Javon Small. I would have loved to see West Virginia in some sort of 8-9 or 7-10 kind of matchup, and then if they possibly could have won that game, what could they do against one of the higher seeds? Because West Virginia's done that. I was even fine with West Virginia potentially making one of the first 4 games in Dayton. A, because West Virginia would travel well to that game. B, because we've seen what West Virginia is able to do when it's coming off, back-to-back kind of games like we saw in that Bahamas tournament in November. So I think West Virginia could have been dangerous if it had that opportunity to play in a first 4 and then, come out on the floor against someone in an 8-9 or 7-10 kind of matchup. But no, again, the NCAA wanted to give a big middle finger to West Virginia because of that Raekwon Battle situation a year ago. Still, I'm thinking some of those people there are anti-West Virginia because of the Sean Alston case. I know I'm kind of going conspiracy theory here for you, but it's just like there's just a lot of evidence, even just in recent years, of the West Virginia baseball team not getting the benefit of the doubt on NCAA tournament bids or, regional bids. So thank goodness, in one respect, we haven't had to have that kind of consternation about football, because it would be a lot uglier regarding football if a football team got Florida stated like it was 2 football seasons ago. So I would like to see West Virginia finish up this season with some sort of an NIT or other postseason tournament bid to kind of right this wrong that is not getting in the NCAA tournament big dance. Cap off the seasons in the right way on the court, and then hopefully Javon Small can kind of sing his, have his swan song before he goes off to the NBA. I don't think it's necessarily right now to do any sort of a recap on the season, because again there are the possibilities of still continuing to play. So I think we have to look at that in totality of the season whenever we review. But right now, man, does that knock, I feel like, a letter grade down on this season to not win against Colorado, 1-out at the Big 12 tournament, not getting into the NCAA tournament. I would have said, and I think I might have just said that to cap off the regular season, that was an A grade for this season, but just seems like I don't know if I can call it necessarily an A now, given that performance and now not getting in the NCAA tournament. So I was very bullish, and I'm still probably like 50-60% of the way there about Darren DeVries being offered an extension. I know Iowa, it's been publicly reported about Iowa having interest in Darren DeVries, and I'm sure that has only heated up since they fired Fran McCaffrey the other day. I know that there's also some rumors about him potentially and Indiana. I don't think we need to necessarily get into that yet, unless really news starts to heat up in the next few days, sometime this week. And I really don't want to go down that road. I really don't. I think most Mountaineer fans don't want to either. That to reset this basketball program back again, after what happened with Bob Huggins firing, the Josh Eilert year, now this year. But, does not making the NCAA tournament now have an impact on that extension, that years, dollar figures, etc.? I don't know. That's what I'm not feeling necessarily as bullish on as I feel like a week ago. But again, if you consider it a sham like this of West Virginia not getting in the NCAA tournament when it should have, and again, I live by the mantra of saying you're paying for future performances, not past accomplishments. So if you count this as your year one kind of wash, even though you'd love to be in this NCAA tournament, then if you're paying for what is coming in the future with Darren DeVries, you can only figure that this program is on the rise for what it's going to have. And now you may have lit a fire in Darren DeVries in this program, wanting to go scorch earth, enact his revenge against the NCAA and get back to the NCAA tournament for next season. I kind of liked when Neil Brown came pissed off to Big 12 Media Day, being picked last, going into the 2023 season, proving a whole lot of people wrong. I know it didn't really necessarily pay off at all whatsoever in 2024, but I just like the coaching acumen of Darren DeVries, like what he's done again in recruiting. So I think we just need to just watch from afar, see what's happening across social media. You don't know necessarily what to believe about any sort of contract extension being offered to Darren DeVries from West Virginia University. But that I think that's as good of a rumor as it is about him and having any sort of potential interest in Iowa, or very strong interest. So, just unfortunate that West Virginia has to be in this situation. I'm upset. I'm dejected. How are you feeling? Love to know your thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent. Leave your comments here on YouTube. If you like this video, please like it so more Mountaineer fans can see it across West Virginia Nation. Really happy. Made that video last night about the baseball team and recapping this past year. So coming away with a huge victory, if that's the only game of the series, very nice. Going to be really good for the West Virginia baseball resume. So now improving to 16-1 on the season, coming back home for 6 games in a row consecutively at Kendrick Family Ballpark. So awesome to see. If we're kind of putting the bed on this basketball season, whew, man, you just got to hope that this baseball team now can lead the charge for an underwhelming football season, a basketball season, that there was more to be had, and hopefully the baseballers can bring it home strong. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hail West Virginia. Still it's okay, Mountaineer Nation. We will fight to live another day. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Let's go.